everybody, welcome back to another episode of Vibration Translation. This is Mystical Translation, episode 9, I do believe. If it is not 9, it may be 10. I don't know. You know better than me at this point. Today we're going to be talking about something really important. It's the void. The void inside of you. Why we need the void and why the void may be the very key to living a fulfilled life. Okay? So that's why it's really important. That's why it's really important. So first, what is the void? It's the feeling of nothingness. I mean, it's the feeling of emptiness inside you. It may manifest differently for different people, right? Within our own experiences, but to generalize it, it's the feeling of just feeling absolute nothingness. Like you are nothing, like you're absolutely empty, like there's nothing there for you. The pit, right? To use another word, the pit, the deep dark hole that you feel like there's literally no way out of. That's the void. The void is the thing inside of you that you're likely avoiding by scrolling through TikTok, YouTube shorts, any addictive affinities, addictive behaviors. Anything you go, like binging Netflix, binging Hulu, binging porn, binging this, binging anything external that's going to give you something because you're feeling the nothing and you don't want to feel the nothing. So you're going externally to that something continuously over and over and over again. And that gives you a bit of a dopamine hit rise, but then you're going to need it again to maintain that because you don't have that coming from inside of you. Fulfillment. In the times in my life where I've exhibited the behaviors of binging, for example, Netflix or YouTube videos or porn or whatever, any times I exhibited those behaviors of really binging on those external things, I did not feel fulfilled in my life. That was not fulfilling, period. It was a fake fulfillment. The short satisfaction that I needed it externally to keep myself satisfied because it wasn't coming from within, from within, right? That's the key, from within. Because what was I avoiding during those times was the void. That feeling of emptiness screaming at me. I didn't want to feel it, because if there's a deep dark hole, I mean, who wants to go inside, right? Who wants to go inside? Why would I go inside there? What does that make sense? Consider it like a dark cave. Each time I've went into this void, I've learned to find the gems. I've learned to pick out the gems. I've learned to see the diamonds and find the diamonds each time going through the void. And I've learned to get out of the void through going deeper into it and actually finding that there's fruit inside of the void. There's a song called The Fruitful Darkness by Trevor Hall. It explains this quite perfectly. Because upon your venturing into the void, into your own internal emptiness and nothingness and feeling like you are absolutely nothing and absolutely not worth of anything and have absolutely nothing to offer, because that's literally how it feels like, upon venturing into that, to find the fruit, the gem, the diamond, the cave, the void asks you, the shadow asks you to be honest with yourself. To be honest with yourself. And the pathway to being honest with yourself is to be able to create space for yourself. Now, if you pair the void, like going into that emptiness and that darkness within you, with a self-critical voice, if you pair it with intense self-criticism, self-judgment, self-blame, self-hatred, self-destruction, if you pair it with that kind of attitude towards yourself, that's not going to work. Being self-critical of yourself while you're going into the void and while you're going through life, really, it's not going to be the answer. Like spanking yourself, like as if you are your own parent inside your brain and you're spanking yourself, is not going to get you to the answer. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to get you to fulfillment. It might get you to a false sense of like external material success through hard work and effort and blood and tears and so much struggle. It's not going to get you to fulfillment and peace and happiness and joy. Because I've been down that route for actually many years. I'm just absolutely hating myself and being self-destructive. In the many different covert ways that self-destruction appears. It's very different in people's lives and might not even externally look like self-destruction. As you're venturing into the void, the attitude that's going to give you those fruits the best, is going to be radical self-honesty paired with self-compassion. From myself, having an intense self-critic, self-compassion was my answer. If you want more specifically on self-compassion, I'll link down the Instagram profile of Christina Neff. She is a PhD in psychology, I believe, and she is the niche of self-compassion, and she has so many resources and community support for building and developing that self-compassion. So if this is something that calls to you, I really recommend you go down and check out what she has, because again, she's a niche for self-compassion. All of her stuff is about self-compassion. I read her book and it was so incredibly transformative for me. I've also written a bunch of Substack articles that may resonate with you, containing, the topics of self-compassion, self-destruction, being in the void. But self-compassion comes down to being able to have the ability to hold space, right? Hold space for yourself, hold space for your darkness. Because by blaming, shaming, self-blaming, it starts with the self, right? To change the world, nose itch. It starts with the self. So you can externally take everything I'm saying right now, but right now, let's apply this to the self. Self-blaming, self-shaming, self-hatred, self-vilification is not going to lead to transformation. Because in order to transform, the first thing you need is you need to be able to hold space for yourself. If you have trouble holding space for yourself, get a coach, get a therapist. Whenever I had a facilitator with me that would literally just help bring awareness, like pure awareness, pure presence to what was happening within me, my awareness, my higher self became activated, and my ability to hold space for myself became so much more activated, and I was taken out of my story of self-pity, self-blame, self-shame, self-hatred, and I was able to come into this point of awareness. Point of awareness. And that's really helpful when you have another person. If you're called to having another person, that's what a facilitator can do for you. If they're good at holding space and they're not afraid of the darkness, right? You're not going to get transformation if you're not going to be able to hold space for yourself and for those aspects of yourself. Shaming them, putting them away, making them, calling them evil and shunning them over to the other side of your psyche isn't going to make them disappear. And it's actually going to be stripping you of your power. There's a lot of power inside this darkness, because this darkness, right, these shadow aspects can be extreme, rage. It can be anger, things like that can actually be utilized to hone in and maintain and supply your internal fire inside. Your internal fire that can propel you forwards into actually creating the life you want and what you want in your life and who you want to be and what you want to bring forth out of you. And so when you are in that darkness, when you are in that void, and you're holding space for all of that, you're bringing in awareness, to the experience that can be very painful. I mean, that's the reason you've been avoiding it, right? Because there can be a lot of sadness, grief, anger, rage, nothingness. Literal nothingness. And trust me, please trust me on this. When you go into these kind of states and feelings, and that is coming up from the subconscious and now being processed, it passes, but it needs time to pass through you. And it's going to reveal your gem to you. Please hold space for yourself. Please have self-compassion for yourself, because that's all that part of you that is feeling that sadness really is needing from you. And I'm getting emotional because for a lot of years, like, I was punishing myself. I thought I needed to deserve punishment in order to become somebody. In order to become somebody. There's this pressure I put on myself to become somebody, and I feel like a lot of us feel this. Like, we're all part of this collective consciousness of humanity on Earth right now. And so the things, the deep pains you hold inside yourself that you feel like are just yours and just belong to you are actually, they're not that unique at all. We're all feeling this together in different aspects. So the more you're able to hold space for that within yourself, the more you're holding space for humanity's darkness, for humanity's shadows, for humanity's pain. The wars going on, the murders, the convoluted behaviors that are going on and getting exposed and whatnot. I mean, that's all coming from self-destruction, self-hatred, pain, a deep well of pain and emptiness. All of it. And villainizing it and pushing it away, that's not transformation. That's more separation. And I know this is a hard and heavy topic, but I mean, that's the reality of it. What we see externally right now coming up in our society, which is going to, more and more stuff's going to be revealed. Like, right now I'm talking about the Diddy thing. And stuff about like sexuality and sex. I mean, that is so convoluted. Oh my gosh. And it's reflected externally, right, in our societies, but also internally within our subconscious. A lot more people have a lot more convoluted thoughts than they would ever admit they have. Why do I know this? Because we are all part of this collective human consciousness. It's just expressed outwardly in some people more strongly than in others. We're all holding this kind of pain together in different ways. How do we begin the transformation externally? Is by holding the space internally. By holding the space and bringing in love, compassion, I'm just getting emotional about it because for many years, I absolutely hated myself. I did the self-critical thing and I beat that all the way until it just made me like have so many freakouts and so many like mental disturbances that I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't do it anymore because it was breaking me apart so much. And I know so many people are doing that to themselves on one level or another because I'm part of the collective and I'm feeling all the same shit that other people are feeling. We're not alone in feeling this kind of stuff. We're in this together. Well, you can beat yourself into excellence and greatness, but you can't beat yourself into peace and empowerment, true empowerment. You can beat yourself into hustling, but you can't beat yourself into empowerment. Because self-destruction is not an energy that facilitates support, growth, and empowerment. It just is not. True embodied soul growth and expression. And that's the way a lot of our parents have taken to raising us. Even if they tried really their best, like that's just what was in the consciousness. I'm Gen Z, like that's what was in the consciousness. I got spanked at least once. Like I remember getting spanked at least once. So, like those are the methods that were really like employed. Because our parents themselves weren't able to hold the space for their own emotions and for their own darkness. And where that's part of evolving and growing, and that's part of the process, for our humanity. And the part of the process now is to be able to hold that space. It starts with yourself. I can tell you the more times that I went into this void, the more I trusted, and the more diamonds and gems I found. And I keep doing this process over and over again, Because there's deeper layers. The closer I get to really fully stepping and standing inside my empowerment in this world externally, the more layers of bullshit I gotta go through internally. And it's just like I'm getting closer and closer to the light that's inside of everybody. So I need you to know that you're not alone, and to know that you deserve love. I don't care who you are and what you've done. You deserve love because you're part of all of us. You're part of the collective. We are this one consciousness together, and we're all parts of it. So if I am here saying, like, thinking I deserve love, you are deserving love too. Anybody's deserving love. I don't care what you've done. Exile, blame, and killing like leads to war, as it is externally manifest in our reality right now, which is the way we've been operating for millennia. That's not the new way. That's not the way. That's not the way to peace. That's not the way to peace inside of you, first and foremost. So many people are so disturbed mentally, emotionally, nervous system-wise. Heart-mind connection is so off. Gut connection is so off. Everything's so off. And it's just reflecting in external circumstances in the world we are all creating. And I want to say also, like, there's so much beauty inside you. There are so many beautiful gems inside you and things that want to come through from within you to serve the world for a bigger purpose other than yourself and your self-image and your self-success and whatever, because it's so not about that. It's so beyond that. And it's so selfish to keep all that to yourself. You know, ultimately, shadow work and all this diving into the void is so selfless because we're doing it for not just for ourselves at all. And that's why this work is so important. Now, when you are in the void and you're getting honest with yourself, there's going to be things you naturally, like, even if you right now, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do in my life. I don't even know what my purpose is. Oh my gosh. That's okay. That's the point of discovery. And part of that discovery is going into that dark cave. Stop ignoring the emptiness inside you. Go into it and get honest with yourself. What wants to come through you? Like, what kind of world do you want to see? How can you start being that world because you genuinely want it? There's something inside you that most likely feels a bit vulnerable. Or very vulnerable and very, like, precious and fragile. And that's exactly what needs to come out of you. That's exactly what the world needs. And I know there's anxiety of like, but how? But how am I going to be okay? But how? Breathe, relax. You will learn to trust as you keep going forwards. You will learn to trust as you build your communication and your personal relationship with all that is, the universe, God, source. You will learn to trust. It will become self-evident for you. You will know God, universe, because it is literally you. It's coming through you. It all comes through you. Through that nothingness, you realize that you are also everything. You're all of it. If you would like a personal vibration transmission, guided meditation with light language from me to help you dive into this and be there with you as you're diving into the dark cave inside of you that is yearning for your attention, from which the diamonds really want to come out of you, I offer those on my website. The link is down below. All right. Thank you, everybody. You are so blessed in this moment. There's so much abundance around you right now.